What's going on, Classic Buffalo family? It's me, Ryan, coming back to you to talk about some people's stories. This week is really special. We're going to be talking with one of my friends that I met through church back when I was going in my Christian days. He was really an impactful person for me, one of my ride or die homies, and he has such a big heart. So we're going to find out more about his story and the things that he's been through. So I'm really excited. Just another person that I've already lived a lot of life with, and you get to hear a little bit about him. So without further ado, let's talk. Let's listen. Here we go. Welcome to me and Grant hanging out at Starbucks. What's up?
What's up? This is Grant. How you guys doing today?
Good, thanks, Grant. That's the audience. So you tell people what you're wearing right now.
I'm wearing a classic Reebok Peyton Manning jersey. Holding on to hope and, remembering what life used to be like. Going 14-2 every season.
Is Peyton Manning your favorite player of all time?
Yeah, I would say he is my favorite Colts player of all time. But yeah.
Who are your other favorite players of all time?
Oh, gosh. Not on the Colts, but LaDainian Tomlinson.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Brian Urlacher and Champ Bailey.
What other sports? Like, you have a college play? You're a Michigan State fan, so you love Magic, right?
Oh, well, maybe a little bit, but the reason I got hooked on to Michigan State was Drew Neitzel back in the day. When I was like 15, 16. Remember seeing a little white guy just run around the court and he was just moving without the ball and getting open, and that's just how I got hooked.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how did you get your connection to Michigan State? Because you're from Indy, right?
Yeah. It was one of my mom's friends who was a big basketball fan, and he told me about Michigan State, and actually my best friend Josh, he really loves Michigan State too. So.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of connected on that.
So let's do background. You were born and raised in Indy, and where'd you go to? You went to Noblesville?
No, I went to Fisher's High School.
Oh, okay.
So I was born in Indianapolis, raised in Fishers. Went to Heritage Christian School from elementary to about 6th grade, and then from then on I went to Hamilton Southeastern School District. So, yeah.
So you went to, so Heritage is a really tiny school. Talk about going to school at a tiny, because sometimes they can be known for it's really cool because you get to know a lot of people.
Yeah.
But then there's that did you have any experience with both?
It was nice to be able to get a good Christian religious base. But I actually had a little bit of a bad experience. It wasn't everybody there, just a few people. At least my class in particular, my graduating class, was really cliquey. You were either a part of the rich kids, jocks, or nerds, or you were just nobody. And I was kind of a nobody because my mom wasn't rich, and I really wasn't athletic or a jock. So.
All right, so we are here again. We relocated to the car because it was super loud. But Grant, so you grew up in Indy. You grew up, you went to Heritage, wasn't the best, experience. How did you kind of just graduated, or did you leave midway?
I left after my 6th grade year. Then I actually had to redo 6th grade back at Riverside Junior High. So from then on, I went in the HSC school district and graduated from Fisher's High School in 2013.
Yeah. So sports are kind of a big part of your life.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you met most of your friends through that?
Yeah, yes and no. Most of my friends, we would play in rec league at Castleview Baptist Church. They had baseball, soccer, and basketball, and so I loved basketball and baseball. Those were my two favorite sports. I made a lot of friends that I didn't keep in contact with them because I was in 3rd and 4th grade. So
you guys texted, obviously.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Back in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite moments, like, in sports that you've experienced? Like, by playing sports, you had XYZ experience that was really cool.
Well, when I was in high school as a sophomore, even though I was on the bench, it was our 2010-2011 school year, or 2009, 2010-2011. We won state in football. It was a 5A school. So it was really cool just being out on the field and Colt Stadium, Lucas Oil, and just feeling the soft turf underneath my feet. Even though I wasn't able to play, it was just really cool to just, be there and just see it happen and be a part of that team.
Did you ever get injured in football?
No. I got hit in the head a few times, and I may have gotten a concussion. And one time in practice, I got hit really hard, and I was like, "Yep, I am done. Not want to get hit. I don't like getting hit. Just did not like getting hit. So,
man, there you go. Yeah, I separated my shoulder 3 times.
Oh gosh.
Not in football. Two was in football. 1 was dancing, which is embarrassing, but
hey, it happens, and dancing is a physically demanding sport. I'll even say it's a sport.
It's a sport
because you got to have the physical endurance and be in physical shape to do that. So
yeah,
I'll give you that. Anyway, so Ryan, where did you grow up?
That's a personal question. I can't talk about that.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate because I want to know, so I'm gonna force it out of you. I might put you in a headlock and start punching you. No.
Yeah.
I won't do that.
So I was born and raised in Jensen Beach, Florida.
So you're like a Miami Heat fan then?
Yes. Yeah, Miami Heat fan. My brother was a Miami Heat fan he just was, and then that's where I picked it up, because I started getting into basketball.
Yeah.
And so I'm a Dwayne Wade fan for sure.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I may not like the Heat when LeBron was on there, but Dwayne Wade's definitely one of my favorite players. Just his game, his post game, his all-around game was great.
Yeah.
So.
And he didn't go to different teams. He just stayed there the whole time. That's always nice.
Yep. For sure. Did you like the Dolphins at all?
No, I didn't.
No. No, they really haven't been good since, I don't know, gosh, like the 70s or the 80s, whatever it was.
I mean, I'm a Patriots fan.
Oh, yeah. So that's it's kind of a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
How did you become a Patriot fan?
Yeah, my dad's from Boston.
All right.
So I started, my first ever football game I'd ever watched was the Super Bowl against the Rams.
I remember watching that.
Yeah, so that was my first game, and I'm like, all right, why is everyone cheering? Oh, because everyone's a Patriots fan. So I'm like, all right, cool.
So you just kind of went along with the flow.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, we go again and again.
As a Colts fan, I was really sad and really heartbroken about every year, because every year the Colts would seem to make it to the AFC Championship game, and who would be there but Tom Brady and the Patriots at Gillette Stadium to crush our dreams and crush our hopes. And then one fateful day when we came back, infamous day for the Patriots and a glorious day for Indianapolis Colts fans, we came back from a big deficit and went to the Super Bowl and won.
So do you have a big family, or what's your family like?
Well, a lot of my family, my dad's side of the family lives here in the Broad Ripple area. And then a lot of my other dad's side of the family lives out Colorado and California. So
have you ever been out there?
Colorado, yes. I haven't been out to California. Colorado's beautiful. The mountains are beautiful. There's nothing like a Colorado sunset. You have to go there and see it for yourself.
Do you want to stay in Indy, or do you want to move? What do you think?
I was raised by a single mom, so I'm really close to my mom, and I don't want to leave her. However, at the same time, I want to go out and do something, and so yeah, that's a possibility. If I did, I would want to go to Colorado, not because they legalized a certain drug, but just because I have cousins out there and I would want to see family. So.
Yeah. It'd be not just a random city. You'd want to be around some kind of family.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's so cool, going to Colorado, and then you just walk out of a building and you're like, oh, mountains. Okay, yeah. You're just not used to that. You know, you're either seeing cornfields or just more buildings, but then you're like, oh, okay, there's a mountain. Yeah. That's cool.
I actually saw my first rattlesnake there when we were hiking.
Of many with your rattlesnake hobby?
Oh, yeah. I go out and look for rattlesnakes. I'm the crocodile hunter. So, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man. But me and my cousin were walking, and my great aunt was like, hey, by the way, try not to get bit by a rattlesnake because we're about an hour away from, like, a hospital. I'm like, okay. Sure enough, like 5 minutes later, my cousin and I are walking ahead of the group, and we hear a rattle and a hiss, and we were like 3 feet away from a rattlesnake. We're like, oh gosh! My cousin ran one way, I sprinted back the other way. It was like a cartoon. It was like, pew! And I was like, yep, nope, that's a nope rope. You don't touch that one. You don't get near that one.
A snake is a nope rope.
Yes.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Nope rope. What was it like growing up in a single parent home?
It was different. It was difficult. I love my mom. She is one of the strongest people I know. Because she taught in IPS pretty much all her career, and she, even on her stressful days, she always came home and had to play mom and dad. But like I said, she's one of the strongest people I know, and if I could go back and change anything, I don't know if I would. I think I would change the way everything went down, with my dad leaving and all that. But I believe if anything changed, I would not be the same person I am today. So.
Right. Do you remember like the day it happened?
Yeah, I do. It was when I was about 3 years old.
Wow.
It was like one of my first memories. So it was like really.
Whoa.
I remember the fight that kind of ended it all, and it was tough. And the reason for it was there was other things that I don't want to talk about now.
Right.
But my dad came out, and so that was part of the reason. And we've had a strained relationship through my teenage years, and now we're on speaking terms. Like we're good now. It's not like I still hate him or anything. I love him. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, because I asked that because when my parents got divorced, I remember it, like just the sounds or like the smell, like I remember like everything.
Yeah.
And then like I zoned out, and it just was traumatic memories, sort of like there's just so much you remember. I mean, it's somewhat distant, but like 9/11. A lot of people people remember where they were, what they were like. They remember it very vividly. Yeah. It's kind of weird because sometimes you just know the day is off. Sometimes like it's a weird, like not premonition, but just I understand what it's like where just in trauma you can have such a vivid memory and all your sensory things are like activated and stuff.
And it really sucked growing up, and
you're a real good guy, and you're really mature for your age. You're really like you've come out of it, or somewhat still going through some stuff, I'm sure, but like you're doing really well from an outside perspective from a single parent home. I don't know if that's any encouragement.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I think the type of person, and I know you sort of. I've known you for a couple of years. We met through church, but from what I've seen and I know of you, and then knowing you have a single parent background, I'm really proud of the person that you are today.
Thank you.
Yeah. It
means a lot.
Because you have also had to go through your own health issues, which you can talk about if you want.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, that was a recent thing. So, and we'll get to that, but let's finish kind of the timeline. So, like, let's go junior, senior of high school. Are you thinking of college? Because I know you're dabbling in college, or you kind of have an interesting relationship, like an on and off relationship with college, and I don't know, you're still doing it kind of now.
Yeah, I'm almost finished, but like my junior and senior year, I don't think I had a plan to go to college like right away. I was still trying to learn what I wanted to do, and I'm still kind of trying to learn what to do.
Yeah.
Which kids, it's okay if you don't know what to do. You don't have to have any pressure, but I did know that ministry was something that I was called to. So. But.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite parts of our relationship is, and we can talk. Let's talk about that. Is the ministry for the homelessness for homeless. And we went down every Friday pretty much to go and just hang out and build relationships. Why were you laughing?
Yeah. No, I just remember because it was, looking back, it was like I didn't realize how big of an impact or how big of a deal it was to go out on a Friday night when you could do anything else. When we could do anything else, go downtown to just have a drink or go out and have fun with friends. And now we decided to just sit down with people and just share life and ask them what's going on and make them feel human.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I feel like you lose when you become homeless is your identity, or like people. You don't feel like people care about you as much, and so when someone sits down with you and then has that conversation, it's a nice thing. My favorite part was building the relationships with the same people.
Yeah.
Where we would go and be like, oh, that's John or that's XYZ.
Yeah.
And do you remember the I think it was when Gabe was with us where we brought that one guy shoes? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that because I remember like every Friday we went. It was like 2 Fridays in a row. I cannot remember the guy's name for the life of me. It's been a while, but remember the 2 times that we went and saw him. We were sitting out. So his spot, quote unquote, was outside like a Thai food restaurant. And every time it seemed like people would bring out their leftover what they were going to take home, when we were sitting down with him. And so I think that was really cool. But I remember we asked him, "Hey, what do you need?" And we noticed that he needed shoes, and he's like, "Yeah, shoes." And because being homeless, you're not really allowed to sit or lay down anywhere, so. You're on your feet constantly, so good pair of shoes, kind of essential. So.
Yeah, it was like, what size are you? And then the next week we brought him a pair of shoes.
We did. And he was like,
gosh, that's so cool.
And he was like really surprised. He wasn't like jumping out of his skin, but
close.
He was really thankful, and it sounds selfish, but I felt good.
Yeah.
I felt good that we were able to bring this to him, but I knew it changed his life a little bit, that we were able to give him some dignity.
I don't think that's selfish though. Like I feel like I feel like if it's selfish, you're like, I did my good. I'm talking about like the social media, like look at me. Yeah, whereas I think it's why you started, and I've joined, of like it's a part of your heart, right? And it's like it's fulfilling you because that's who you are, right? You're not doing it so you can post about it. You're doing it because you know the actual impact in it. You're like, this is Grant, right? Like, this is Ryan, which is why I love doing that stuff too.
Yeah, and you see on YouTube, these people are going out and having these things on film. I'm like, that's great that they're helping these people out, but it's just like you shouldn't be like broadcasting it, saying, to me, that's like, look at me.
Right.
I'm being nice. I'm doing good things. Like, don't put it on film. Like, let other people see you. And you can spread that video over and touch a lot of people's lives and say, millions of people are saying. I guess it has some pros and cons, but to me it has more cons because it's just like you're pretty much showing off how good of a person you are.
Well, what's your advice for somebody who sees homeless a lot, which if you're in the suburbs you don't see as much, but if you're downtown within 465, which is the loop that goes around Indy or wherever you are, like, what's your advice just for the casual person who does see homeless people on a pretty regular basis?
Well, just acknowledge them and give them eye contact, and if you don't have time to stop, at least what I try to do, and I've been bad at it, but what we would try and do is we would carry like water bottles or hygiene packs, and say if we see a guy on the side of the road like holding up a sign saying anything helps, socks, I'd just give him socks or give him a water bottle, maybe give them like a $10 gift card to like McDonald's or a fast food restaurant so they can eat. But
Right.
And
what are your thoughts on just giving change?
I wouldn't, and it's not like all homeless people are drug addicts, but we don't want to not take the risk, but enable somebody who has an alcohol or drug addiction. We don't want to give them money to go out and get drugs, because even $1 can get you a little bit of cocaine or crack, and we don't want to enable that. And going out on the street, the homeless community would talk and be like, okay, these guys come out on Friday nights and they'll hand out money. And we didn't want to be known as that. We wanted to be known as people who sat down, had a conversation, made them feel human, and gave them something like snacks or like granola bars and like hygiene kit, like soap, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, floss. So
yeah, doing something is better than nothing, but it's helpful for you to say that, because I know there are people that work in the city or whatever that you just mentioning that they can kind of change up their perspective or their strategy and actually make just a better impact than to possibly unknowingly be contributing to the decline of somebody, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And, it's not a bad thing to give them money, because some of them, they do need a place to stay, and some of them, I remember watching a YouTube video. There's a guy in Chicago. He would hold up a sign, and people would ask him, like, you should get a job. He's like, well, I don't have a cell phone to get a job, and I don't have an address, so I can't give him an address. And just seeing that and understanding that not all of them are begging just to beg, and some of them are looking for jobs. And so I think that's a good thing. So if you want to give them money, sure. But if you're going like doing outreach like we were doing, try not to carry money on you, just because it's, like I said, they'll talk, and then everybody will want money from you. And even if you have a generous heart, eventually you're probably going to go broke because just all the money you're giving out. But I don't know. It's really difficult, because I'm not the most extroverted type. I'm more introverted, and so it really brought me out of my comfort zone just to go up and talk to somebody, a random stranger. And, if I'm at a party or like a social gathering, I'm gonna be sitting in the corner or sitting on the couch, and if I know somebody, I'm gonna be like sticking to them like glue, and like if they leave me, I'm like no.
Introverts can relate to that 100%.
Yeah.
When's this party over?
Exactly.
When can I go home?
Yeah, but like I said, it brought me out of my comfort zone, and growing up in the suburbs and growing up in Fishers, you didn't see too many of that, so it opened my eyes and exposed me to a whole nother world.
Right.
In the side of Indianapolis, that I'd never experienced before.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of my own story and yours, is your passion for the homeless community and what you are doing / that kind of stuff. I know your situation's a little different, so you probably aren't doing it anymore, or a little less.
Yeah, I can't, but I've been on 2 missions trips for the same organization. It's to New York City Relief, and they're based out of New Jersey, so their home base is in New Jersey. What they have is a bus. It's a retrofitted school bus. Front of it is for like housing, detox, homeless shelters, and the middle of the bus is they renovated it and made it into like a little soup kitchen. And so we gave them bread, soup, water, hot chocolate, lemonade, whatever. And then in the back, we'd offer prayer and hygiene kits. And the first time I went was in 2015, and they were mainly known for doing the bus. Now, when I went back just this past year in January, they had started this. They'd partnered with, why can't I remember it? It's on the top. They partnered with a women's housing women's housing thing, and they made it into like a miniature Goodwill.
Oh, cool.
So people will donate shoes, donate clothes, and it's completely free. And they're able to serve a lot more people instead of the people on the street. And that bus part is important too, but not only do they need food, but they need clothes, because the people who are homeless and want to get a job, they need to have clothes that are presentable, and that they have a better chance to get a job, because they show up to the interview, they're not like ripped up jeans or ripped up suit and pants, and they want to try to get a job. So but
the other part of your story that is intriguing is your journey through experiencing seizures. And if you can talk about that, your battle with that and how you are now, and kind of when did it start? Kind of give us a background on how you fought through that.
So I guess I'll start back in 8th grade. In 8th grade, I had, I guess, what I learned later was an epileptic episode. There are different types of seizures. There's one where you sit, your basic one where you fall down and convulse or go rigid, or there's ones that you just space out, and it looks like you're just zoning out. And that's the one I had. As I zoned out, I didn't lose consciousness. I didn't fall out and start shaking. But my teacher at the time, she had me last year in 7th grade, and she was like, he's not acting as his usual weird self. She's like, he's acting weirder than normal, but no. But they misdiagnosed it as a type A migraine, or a migraine, because after I was at the hospital, I hated the light, like a migraine. Light, any sound, I was like, this hurts, stop it. And then I didn't have one for years, until I was working at Grace Church as a custodian. They asked us to come outside because the care center was giving away a car to one of the friends and the family of people part of the care center. And I kind of not pushed my way to the front, but I kind of I went to the front, and all of a sudden it's like everything went closed in. It was whoosh, black. And then I woke up in a blink, and 15 minutes had gone by, and I was on the ground. I was like, oh, what the heck happened?
Whoa.
And why am I on the ground? And why is there an ambulance here? But I had a seizure, and that ambulance ride,
wasn't there somebody who was a nurse that happened to be there or something like that?
Oh yeah. So I don't want to name drop.
No,
but
you don't have to.
I guess I will, because she was awesome. Laura Mitchell, she still works at Grace Church. I fell back into her, and like the Allstate commercial, you're in good hands. Well, I fell into good hands, because she's had experience with family members, specifically her sister, who has seizures daily, and so she knew right what to do, and to make sure I wasn't hitting my head, or that I was on my side, and that I wasn't swallowing my tongue or anything. I'm glad she was there, because someone was like, stick a spoon in his mouth, and I'm like,
what?
She's like, no, well, I don't know why. I think it was just, I don't know why, but I'm like, yeah, if you did that, all the muscles, my jaw was clenched, and I actually bit my tongue quite a bit. The front of my tongue looked like a hamburger, just about.
Wow.
But I was very thankful that I wasn't alone, and that I went outside, because I didn't want to go outside. I was just like, okay, I'm on my lunch break. I didn't want to go out, but I did, and I'm thankful that I did, because if I was just sitting in the office and I came back, and I went to my doctor, my neurologist, and we had a bunch of EEGs, tests and MRIs. One, not multiple, but he was like, yeah, you have generalized epilepsy. And I was like, okay, well, this kind of sucks. And he's like, yeah, you're going to have to be on medicine. And I was really upset at the time that I had to take medicine because I didn't really have to. I guess it was a little bit of my pride that got in the way, that I guess prided myself that I didn't need medicine to be, act normal. Yeah. The only medicine that I took really was ADD medicine growing up, and I had stopped taking that. So he put me on this medicine, and it didn't work out. It was a lot of mood swings, but just in general, I've had depression just because of my diagnosis, and I had a little bit of anxiety because I don't know. I wouldn't know, and I still don't know when I'm going to have one. But especially during the 6 months, because I wasn't allowed to drive for 6 months. That was the most difficult part.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think you came and picked me up and drove me places. A couple times. Yeah. Thank you for that, by the way. I don't know if I did, but that was really difficult. But I was glad to be able to be at a church of people who cared about me and loved me and supported me. And anyways, anxiety just.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. What was your support from going through that, still going through it? What's been your experience with support from people in general, and then from the church specifically? Because sometimes people have had really bad experiences with church, the people inside of it, but it sounds like for the most part you've had a pretty good experience with the people from church, especially with dealing with seizures and that kind of stuff. So talk a little bit about like your experience with support through this and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Being at a church, it's kind of basic. I understand that you should pray, but I had a lot of people praying for me, and that's what got me through a lot. My buddy Josh Hayward, really good friend of mine, every Monday he would drive me to work, and I really thank him for that. For 6 months he did that, aside from like 1 or 2 days. He's a great dude, and then there were other people that I had to. That was the hardest thing. I think I had to ask for help, and that's something that I'm not good at. Wasn't good at doing. I had to ask for help for people for rides, and I was just like, I don't like doing this. But there was a lot of people that gave me rides home and supported me through that, and just being able to have conversations and talking about it, and being able to kind of like talk therapy. Like I talk through it and get it off my chest. And so, but yeah.
Did you ever go to counseling at any point?
No, I didn't. There's some other issues that I have that I really want to go get counseling for. Right. Mainly my relationship with my dad and a few other things, but no, I haven't. I've talked about it. Gosh, seems like years that I've talked about. I need to go to counseling. I need to go to counseling. And then I never do. Right. I don't know if I think it's because I'm just scared or. Yeah. I don't know.
That I bring it up because there is a current stigma of going to see a counselor, and maybe it's a pride issue or whatever. I had that as well, that you're admitting that you're broken or whatever this thing is, but now that I go to counseling, it just seems like such a natural, I go to counseling, this is my counselor, he's great. I've been doing it for 4 or 5, 6 years now. That's great. It's just a part of my life, and I enjoy talking about it, but it's been very helpful towards the end and most recently. I've had some really shitty counselors. I have. Yeah. Especially at Taylor, and just throwing them under the bus, sorry, but every time I would go, it was, I don't know what to tell you, you're just not doing what I'm telling you to do. Jeez. And it was like every week. And and ultimately in counseling, you do have to do some things at some point. Yeah. But for you to be shamed by your counselor every single week,
especially
and that you're
at a Christian college.
Yeah. So it wasn't a good experience. But then I found the one I have, and now my problem is I don't like, I can, as long, if I don't know what it is, but when I start talking, it kind of lets the emotion out, like I get tricked. But if I'm still in my thoughts and I don't voice everything I'm thinking,
Yeah.
then I can think my way out of it and zone out, right?
So you can like numb it and
Yeah. So I did.
have
So
apathy.
have you ever heard of EMDR?
I don't think I have. No.
Okay. So it's usually used for people with PTSD. I may have talked about it on the podcast at some point, but I think I talked about it on the first episode. But EMDR is supposed to be, it stimulates both of your hands. Your counselor will have like these two remotes that goes back and forth, and he can change the rhythm or like the speed, and it's supposed to it shuts down the part of your brain that lets you think.
Huh.
It just shuts it, it's all emotion, and
Gotcha.
it's intense. It's very like so you don't do it for a very long time, but it's the 2 times I've done it, it's like the best counseling like I've ever had in my whole, like, it's just, you can't think out of a thing. It's just purely emotional, and you try and think of a moment or whatever, and it's been really effective with people who have PTSD. And I highly recommend it if your counselor is trained in it, because it's been 2 of the most, but it's not very long because it's just draining, and anytime you go in an emotional experience, it's draining. So
For sure.
but highly recommend it if you've gone through something very traumatic, to at least experiment with that. It's been very good. But anyway, my experience with counseling has been a wash, but as of right now, I'm really glad I have who I have as my counselor. But
and asking for help doesn't make you weak, and I think that's a stigma for people who maybe want to get in counseling, or for people who hear that someone needs counseling, or they'll just say you need to just man up, or you need to be an adult and just get through it yourself.
Right.
And sometimes you do need help. Society tells us you need to do it by yourself. You don't need anybody else's help. And if you do need help, don't ask for it. Just get through it. And like I guess just like I said, but the stigma is with mental health. It's like, oh well, why are you depressed? It's like, well, it's just a state of mind. It's a state of being.
Right.
And or you can go through like a traumatic event, like parents getting divorced, or
whatever, anything,
A, B, C, D, whatever you want to say. And you need help, and you need to talk to somebody who will listen to you and who is trained to walk you through the steps, and get you to have your emotions get out. And because it's hard to be vulnerable with people. And even my best friend Josh, like, there's sometimes I don't like being vulnerable with him, and vice versa, because it's just as men, I think as men it's a little harder, because I think obviously society tells us that you can't cry, men, you can't cry. You got to be strong always, you can't show emotion, you got to be stoic, and I'm the exact opposite. I'm a sap. And is it still hard for me to be vulnerable? Yeah, but just being a part of people who, being a part of small groups and being friends with people who gave me the safe space and made me feel comfortable talking to them. Yeah, that's what helped me to be vulnerable and to be able to talk about my problems and all that. So
more specifically, is there anything that somebody did for you historically, or again through the battling through seizures and stuff, that specifically helped you? And I'm asking this because a lot of times when people are going through a difficult time, and our family or our friends, they've never really gone through it, or they don't really know what to do, they just don't do anything because they want to do the most perfect thing. So was it like they bought you things? Was it quality time? Was it the acts of service? Like, what love language for you? Was it all of them? Was there something that someone else, did for you that really you would recommend for, that people do when they're reaching out?
Well, for me specifically, from having a seizure, it was acts of service. For me, the driving me to and from, from work back to my house, even if it was out of somebody's way, they still did it. And something that I had to learn was, ask them 2 days in advance, because I'd ask people
right
the day I'd be like, hey, can you give me a ride home? And they'd be like, sure.
Yeah.
But no, acts of service, I think, would be the part of my love language that in that time period in my life really really was a big impact. And just being there to ask questions and to get me more comfortable talking about it. Everyone's different. Some people won't want to talk about it just because, but I didn't mind talking about it because it helped me get through some of the stuff, and people didn't leave me alone. Sometimes you do want to be left alone, but they didn't leave me to be alone with my thoughts for very long. And people would always be asking me, "Hey, how you doing? How are you doing?" And that, to me, those "How are you doing?" those 4 words, they mean a lot because it shows me that people care and that people want to know. And sometimes people are like, "How you doing?" You're like, "Good." "All right, good. Bye." But just people asking me how I'm doing, and so that helped
great.
out a lot.
What piece of advice or motto are you kind of concentrated on right now, or have you heard over the past that's really helped you? Don't sweat the small stuff, the little things matter, and literally anything. What comes to mind that's been really helpful in your life or recently?
Something I'm still working on is just taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself, especially with having seizures and being diagnosed with epilepsy. You don't necessarily. Trying to say this. There are people who are more prone to getting seizures. There are people that have seizures every day, and it's just in their brain. It's just part of their genetic makeup. Right. And there are people who won't have seizures every day, but if they hurt their body, if they don't get enough sleep, if they skip breakfast, or they overdo themselves, like working out, or and I did all those things. Yeah. And that was a trigger. There are triggers to seizures, like strobe lights, flashing lights. I wasn't taking care of myself, and so I guess that's been my motto. I'm still working on that because I still don't get enough sleep, and that's self-imposed. That's just on me. I need to get better sleep, and I'm definitely not skipping meals because I have a nice belly. But no, but yeah, like I said, just take care of yourself, especially just in general, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Just take care of yourself. If it's talking to a friend every once in a while, saying, "Hey, I need to bounce some ideas off your head. I need to get some stuff out. If you need to go work out, and just get sleep. Take naps if you need to during the day, because taking naps can actually improve your overall health. It can improve your quality of work, your focus, and so like I said.
So take naps is your motto.
Take naps, yeah. Take lots of naps.
Yeah.
So
let's do. Oh my gosh, what am I thinking?
Sports?
No. Talk a little bit about your unemployment phase of your life and how you battled through that, because that and you can kind of, you don't have to say how, like, the whole situation happened, but like how you were unemployed or about to transition into unemployment, and now you have a job. Mm-hmm. How did you kind of get through that mentally or practically? How did you manage that?
Just by talking to people. I was at my church, which I grew up and worked for, where I had my seizure. It was we went through some financial problems, and they had to let a lot of people go. And I was one of those. My position was a custodian, and my job was eliminated. Was I hurt at the time? Yes. Am I still a little bit hurt? Yes, but I was in a place where I was like, I had angry sarcasm is the best word I can come up with. Because every time the pastors, or every time someone higher up would say something on stage, or I'd be walking with him in the hallway, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for my uncle, because he's a manager at Site One Landscape Supply where I now work, and he was like, "Hey, I have a job. It's only temporary, but you'll be 5 days a week, 8 to 4:30." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it."
Yep.
And I actually found that before I left.
That's good.
So, but just navigating that, just talking to people, being able to, and crying. I cried. Oh gosh, I cried more than I ever had in my life.
So you leaned into it.
I leaned into my emotional not sappy, but just.
Yep.
Because I know that if I hold stuff in, I'm just going to get angry, and my walls would not be happy with me. and just my friends, or just I would probably have lashed out at my friends, and just getting it out there. And I actually was able to reignite my passion for writing poetry. Like, that's how I get.
Yep.
That's how I get my words out and the feelings that I can't express through voice. I can just put it down on a piece of paper. Taking time to write stuff out, it also helps too. So
yeah, that's great. I know poetry really helps a lot for people. Some people don't do it because they have to have like they're afraid it's not going to be good enough, or not what's it called, like straightforward, like a story kind of thing. So they don't journal or they don't write because they feel like it has to be structured.
No, and yeah, mine. You can look at mine, and my poems are not really necessarily for other people. It's just for me, and just
right.
Pretty much just between me and God. And if people do read it, and they are able to, they probably won't understand all this stuff, but like, just it doesn't necessarily have to rhyme. You can just start writing. It's just like a story, or your feelings, or what you're feeling at that point in time.
Yeah.
You can voice your frustrations to God, and just talk about that and be able to get it out. You bottle it up, it's just not healthy. So
yeah, that's good. So I'm gonna do like some 5 questions for you, and then I have my twist ending.
Ooh, which that sounds interesting.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's like people will know it's coming, but I haven't posted the episode where I started doing it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's a twist for you because you haven't heard the episode where it starts. So
I'm ready.
My first question, if I can log into my computer, let's see.
I grew up on Pokemon a little bit. Never had the cards.
All right, we'll do a 6th extra question. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go with Pikachu. Just because he never really evolved, but he was just that. You think of Pokemon, you think of Pikachu. And
did you see the movie, Detective Pikachu?
I did not.
Dude, what?
I know.
Go see it. It's probably in Redbox now or whatever.
Probably. But yeah, Pikachu definitely.
Pikachu. Yeah.
Or a close second would be Charizard.
Yeah.
So
those were like the 2 Pokemon of our childhood. That everybody,
Yeah.
All right, number 1. If you could play for any coach in history, basketball or football, because you love their coaching style or their success or whatever, like you get to play for anybody and start. You're not going to just sit on the bench.
Football, I'd have to be Tony Dungy.
Yeah.
Just because watching him on the sideline, he never really got angry at the refs. He never berated the refs. You see a lot of coaches that are like, and you don't even want to know what they're saying to the refs.
Yeah.
And you can see the vein popping out of their head or popping out of their neck. And Tony rarely ever got in the ref's face. And we ended up winning a Super Bowl, but he was just a great guy. He seemed really calm, and he seemed just like a great guy. Plus he's a Christian, so I guess I don't know. That's a bit of a plus. And all the community service he did, and starting an organization that had dads, have better relationship with their sons and better relationships with their kids.
Yeah.
And so that really speaks to me, because he is a great father. He has kids, and he had a good father growing up, and so he wanted to continue that for kids, who don't have a male role model in their life, and just to be able to play for a guy like that. He's a stand-up guy. He's not, you never heard him on the news saying he cheated on his wife or he, had domestic violence or anything. He was just a nice, kind guy. And basketball, gosh, I don't know. Basketball's tough.
Would you do like Pat Riley or Phil Jackson? I thought John Wooden was a good one, like the guy who coached UCLA.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I feel like that'd be a good one.
He was great.
I wouldn't want to play for Bobby Knight. I don't think so.
No, I think I might want to punch him in the throat. If he ever pulled on my jersey, I'd be like, stop it. No. But I would say, gosh. I'd say Nate McMillan that we have now at the Pacers.
That's a good one.
He seems like a good guy. He's very knowledgeable about the game. He was a player back in the day. I think he set a record on the Supersonics, when the Supersonics existed.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. I think with like most assists in a game. So, but he knows basketball. He seems like a great coach. He gets the most out of his guys. But yeah.
If you could go to dinner with any person alive, and I do this with two people. Like you can choose two people because one sometimes. Mine is Steve Carell. I'll do Steve Carell, and I'm gonna do Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Why?
Because Bill, I can ask him like serious, deep science questions, and then Steve's gonna make me laugh.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Gosh. Because I have a crush on her, I would say Jennifer Lawrence. I just be like, I've had a crush on you. I know there's a lot of guys that have crushes on you, but I love you the most. And no, but her and and Peyton Manning.
That's a good one.
Just because
I love his commercials. I really do
too. And we never really saw that comedic side when he was playing football, because he was all work 100% of the time, like no joking, like he prepared. He made his teammates better, but now that he's out of football, he can loosen up and show the side that no one really ever knew about. So, but yeah.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
I think you're the first person to say no.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I can tolerate it, but I'm like, it wouldn't be my first option, no.
Like, if we're at a party and we're like, all right, everybody, what do you want on the pizza? And some guy goes, I'd like pineapple. Are you kind of like...
If it's only pineapple, then no. But if it's like, the Hawaiian pizza with, pineapple has, I guess, like barbecue sauce and ham and whatever it is, then that's okay. But if it's just like pineapple and olives, like, no, get it out of here.
Yeah.
Like, throw it away, throw it off the balcony. Throw it into the friggin' river.
So if you were on a desert island and all there was pineapple, would you probably just, all right, I'm out?
Oh, eating pineapple not on a pizza is delicious. And I'd be like, yeah, but I would want some like sustenance other than pineapples.
Okay.
Pineapple can't exactly give you nutrition. You need like protein and all that, but...
What's the first thing you do with $1 million?
Oh, gosh. I would help my mom out and fix up her home a little bit. I would give some to the church, give the 10% to the church. And then I might save some of it.
$5.
$5, yeah. No, I'll
gotta buy a bunch of jet skis. That's how it works.
No, yeah, but that's how you lose them.
I thought I needed 14 jet skis.
All at once, and I don't even have a lake house or a place to put them. But hey, no, but I don't think I'd get a new car. Maybe I'd get like a newer used car. But I like the car I have now, so maybe fix that up, make sure it's running okay. Then I'd just maybe I'd buy a small house, but hopefully I would save a majority of it, because me and money, I kind of spend it like I drink water, if you hold water, no.
What's your favorite part of yourself? Physically? No, I'm just kidding. mentally.
Well, physically, my belly, no.
Yeah.
People have said, and I guess I kind of agree. I don't like talking about myself just because I feel like I'm bragging, or
Right.
it's just me. But people tell me that I'm really tenderhearted, and that I'm a good listener. So
You agree?
I would say so.
Okay. All right, so here's the last part. This is the twist. You're going to pick one person, boyfriend, girlfriend, family member, doesn't matter. Anybody. And you have to tell them how much they mean to you. You know, thanks Jiminy Bob because you were loving that one time, or I love this about you, or whatever. And then you're going to share the podcast, this part of it, with them, and they have to listen to it. Or just tell them you did it.
Well, I couldn't really share it with them now, but my grandpa, he was instrumental in shaping me in my faith and being that male role model, Christian male role model, when my dad was absent. I think he came from the generation that, you know, people would thump you with the Bible and make you say Jesus. And he wasn't like that. In fact, he was the opposite. He led by example. He was married to my grandma for 57 years up until his death. He took me to Pioneer Club, so like Wednesday night church. He helped me with homework. He played ping pong with me. That's how I got my ping pong skills.
Hold on a second.
We got a ambulance run. Anyways,
Let's wait till they're gone. Wee like a cup. Wee. Oh, this lady's shirt's kind of cool.
Shout out Lil Wayne.
Like a cup.
Little known fact, he has epilepsy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is that how he got hospitalized that other time recently?
Yeah, I had another. I wasn't hospitalized, but I had another seizure.
Oh.
When I was driving, I lost.
Oh my God.
It sounds bad, and it is bad, but
yeah.
But it wasn't like I was on the highway. I was like in the North India area. Like I was on like a side street.
Okay.
And I wasn't going fast at all. I felt it coming on. I was like, oh crap. And I didn't like convulse, but it was just like that. I had like it was another seizure. I had it was impaired awareness. My head was really foggy. But
wow.
Anyways, that was, gosh, a few
You made
months
it
ago.
out.
I made it out okay. My car would say otherwise. I don't know how, but I pulled over to the side of the road and was able to, I don't know why, but I got out of the car and walked it off.
Holy cow, dude.
But yeah, so my grandpa, gosh, I really loved him. He and I were close. You know, I love my grandma, but he and I had just like a special relationship. I can count the number of times, I think on one hand, where he ever raised his voice at me. In fact, there are a few times that I can remember. The only time he ever raised his voice was when my grandma would be saying, hey, it's time for dinner. I'd be like, okay. And that's the only time I ever heard him or saw him get mad. But he was just a great guy. And everyone that I've talked to that knew him, they say he was a great guy. He had really corny jokes. Oh my gosh, just.
Do you have one?
Well, when my mom, as a kid, my mom would say that he had the best corny jokes, and he would say they would drive past a graveyard. He's like, yeah, people are just dying to get in there.
Oh my God.
So he had that kind of humor, or he would,
Yeah.
and he was great with kids, and so when he would come up, when he would say hi to a kid that was new or nervous, he would shake their hand and say, are you nervous? And they'd say no. Then why are you shaking? Because they'd be shaking their arm, and but just, he just had that kind, sweet personality that I guess kids kind of gravitated towards him, because you have to have you have to be able to you have to have the maturity of a child sometimes, or you have to be able to, like not stoop your way down, but like bring yourself down to like their level, and just have fun, because kids just want to have fun all the time. But he was just that calming. He had a calming presence that made kids comfortable around him, and so. But
Sweet. Shout out to your grandpa.
yeah, love your grandpa.
That's all I got, man. It means a lot for you to be on the podcast and to support what I'm doing.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, we've known each other for a while, and so it's kind of cool to get some people that I actually know, because I've done a lot of people that I didn't. But it's kind of cool to now start talking with more people that I've known for a while, and then get deeper and stuff like that. So I'm excited for you in the future, because you're a good guy.
Thanks. You are too, man.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's all I got, guys. Bye.
Deuces.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan from the Classic Buffalo Podcast. Wanted to take a second to talk about Anchor, how I'm actually making this podcast happen. Super happy that I'm partnering with them. So, Anchor is actually the easiest way to make a podcast. I've done my research. This is basically the best way. I promise. It's going to give you everything you need in one place for free, which is the best part. It's going to have tools, so you don't really need a fancy schmancy recording guy. Anchor's going to be helping you out there, and then they're going to distribute the podcast everywhere to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, everything. And then you can also make money with basically no minimum listenership, which is kind of rare. So hop on Anchor as soon as you can. Thanks. So I just got done hanging out in my car with like no AC with my buddy G at a Grant. Man, Grant, what a solid guy. We met through church a long time ago, maybe like in high school, and bonded over basketball, kind of LeBron James sports. And man, we just had always been a part of the same youth group. We'd hang out all the time, and I was friends with his friend Josh, and Josh and I went to high school with each other. We weren't really friends, but we kind of got along with each other, and through grace, us three would just hang out. And then I went to Toronto in college, and that was a street ministry at the time, where you just were experiencing the culture. We weren't doing street evangelism or anything like that. It's one of my favorite experiences while I was religious, was going to Toronto and walking the streets, and we would talk with the homeless, and we would talk with people and not have an agenda, like not have to try and steer the conversation to God. We wouldn't do that. It was just, what is it like to live here? Tell us about yourself. And a lot of people were blown away by that, of just the humanity of just being a human, right? We're trying to convert people. And we would stay out. I think 2 of the nights we were there, we would just stay out till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, just stoop sitting like in the club district, and just talk to people who would walk by or people who would sit next to us. Because when you would leave the bars, you'd probably like ask for cigarettes, or you would just like come hang out. So I got really passionate because I saw a lot of God in that moment. And it's weird to talk about these religious experiences, first of all, because I'm still I'm in my doubtful. I don't associate myself as a Christian really anymore, but these are really still cool stories nonetheless. But where I felt like myself, and I felt very loving, and somebody who saw the best in others and saw the deep value in everybody. So regardless, it was just a really cool experience where you could just tell some people just haven't really got an opportunity to share their story, especially the homeless people in Toronto. And man, it was so cool. I have so many specific stories of just staying out till 3 in the morning and then waking up at 8 or 9 the next morning to do it all over again. But we'd walk 26 miles a day kind of thing. Just it was at least 13 or 14 miles. You get in the calluses and stuff, but you're just taking in the culture. You're eating the local food. The food part was my favorite, where I think our leader, whatever, gave us like $2 or something like that, or like just a small amount of money, and we had to go to markets and then get like one loaf of bread or grapes or, something specific. And he gave it to like a team of 3, and so we all split up into a couple teams, and then like you couldn't buy like your own meal. It was like you had to buy one thing, and then we all just had like a community meal, and it was just, we had so little food, but somehow everybody got full. It was like, hey, who wants to split a banana or a half a banana, or who wants to do this? Like, that was one of my favorite experiences there, was the food. And not only that, but I got a real passion for the homeless while I was there. So when I came back, and I had heard that Grant was doing it, I just hopped on, and I felt like I was there. I might have been there since day one. I could probably call myself a day oneer, but we were just going down every Friday, and I think humans appreciate when you are human to them. We've been so like roboticized now and put so many filters up for social media that when you're an actual human to somebody and you express genuine interest without an agenda, I think people really appreciate that. And so that was kind of what going down in Indy was. I've always had kind of an adverse, I don't know if it adverse, but I'd had kind of a attitude towards the homeless, because I'm like, you're just gonna get money and do drugs. But once I had that experience in Toronto, and then when I went downtown with Grant, I started to see the actual stories of the people. And then I think what Grant did, which was really cool, was the practical side of it, right? We're just hanging out, so we give them the emotional support, and then you get to know them. We're going down and we're seeing the same people in the same spots, so they're people. And but then we asked them what they need. We freaking bring them that stuff the next week. I thought that was so cool. That was one of my favorite stories of the entire time I did it, for the couple of months that we did do it. And we'd go in kind of tough weather, and we're like, all right, we gotta wear our coats and sweaters this time. That was really cool. One of them was, there was a guy who was like on a cane, I think it was. It was one of those like he would sit in a rocker, or not rocker. It's like one of those canes, like your stereotypical what an old person looks like, where they have the roller thing on the tennis balls, or just something, a roller cane. But he was sitting in it, and he got injured, and like over the weeks, he would slowly get a little bit better and better, and then he got a job, and then you could just see the progression, like every couple of weeks, where he's starting to smile a little bit more, or he's like, I think I'm going to get a job at McDonald's. And, and then I think he was just walking around downtown at one point without the rocker, and we're like, dude, what's up? And he was just like, hey guys. And like, it was kind of cool just to see somebody actually kind of temporarily, or, I don't know, we haven't really followed up in a while, but to see somebody get out of homelessness, sort of, that was really, really cool. So Grant's got such a great heart, and I've noticed that, like, at least for me, I want to surround myself with people who have big hearts. Big hearts got to stay together. So I've always enjoyed doing passion projects with people like Grant, and he's been through a lot. He really has, for the young age. I think he's like 24 or 25. He's like a little younger than me, I think. So he's not like 21. So Grant's a really, really good guy, and he cares a lot about for others. And sometimes it kind of sucks because, he's so busy taking care of other people that sometimes he forgets to take care of himself. Josh is also kind of like that too. But and Josh he's just another guy. I probably got to end up talking with him at some point. But Grant is a lovey-dovey teddy bear who really cares about those who are around him, and I'm so grateful to know him. And man, thanks, dude. Thanks for being honest and just being transparent about the seizures, which have been very physically draining and painful, but to share kind of how you're fighting through it. And then unemployment is always scary. Something our own age, in the age of 18 to 35 especially, like the first time you're unemployed is really scary, and getting a job is scary, or just that whole thing. And it sounds like you have a pretty good attitude towards it, so you're an inspiration, man. So thank you. So the thing that I wanted to talk about was suicide a little bit today, because as someone who has been at the brink of coming up with a plan and attempting suicide myself, I really dislike the misconceptions around from other people what they think, because they think they know the mindset of someone. A lot of times suicide attempts are impulse decisions, and a lot of times you regret them. You know, I may be alone in it, but like if I ever get bad thoughts, or it gets really bad, or just something like that where I start to go back down my train of thoughts that aren't healthy, I watch videos of people who regret committing or completing suicide, depending on supposedly, which is small sidebar, supposedly saying completed suicide is better than saying committed suicide. Makes it sound like a crime, I guess. So I might start doing that. But anyway, back to what I was saying. That most people, it's an impulse decision, and for me, I feel like, yeah, that is the case. Sometimes it's just, you know, depression is a cumulative and almost like not a layered, but a flat, just blanket, you know, feeling. It's not just like quick like anxiety. Anxiety can kind of be a blanket as well, but I think it's more, depression can sometimes be a dull or a numbing feeling. So what I'm getting at is that what's helped me sometimes is watching people who regret doing it and they talk about it on YouTube videos, or what also helps is the family and friends who talk about how much they miss those people and what they would have said, and then they usually do something about, like, to those who are thinking about it, this is their message and stuff. I actually really like watching those, because it's stuff you don't get to hear so often. It's so hard for us to compliment each other and to appreciate each other while we're still here. So for people who don't understand what it's like to have depression or anxiety, and they're only furthering the stigma when they talk about other people who may have made an impulse decision, which is almost, or a lot of the cases when somebody attempts suicide, it may be, I'll get to this other point in a second, but when you talk about other people and you don't know what the situation is, you're furthering the stigma or worsening the problem. If you do not know what it is like to have depression and anxiety, and you speak on it in a factual way without any scientific background, without, I have a lot of experience, so I'm a little different. I don't have the medical or baccalaureate experience, but I have personal experience and a lot of it, so I can speak on it, and I have done some research as to what the facts of suicide and depression and the causes and etc. So when somebody will talk ill of a person who has attempted it, it really bothers me, because if I was that person, all I would want is support from my friends. Suicide is not a forced action. You may feel that way, but it ultimately is a choice. Those who are in the support system really need to get to know that person and to be quick, and I'm snapping my fingers if you can't hear it, but quick, like to love. Knowing my own story, that could have been me. And to know that people can just talk so ill of a person that I know would have been talking so well of, and then all of a sudden they make a choice that was probably impulse based, that we've all made, not necessarily a life-threatening, but we've all made impulse choices or impulse buys, buying that sweater that we didn't need, Yeah, so I'm just frustrated, because we really need to crack down on that negativity, and we really need to educate people who don't understand it, because I was hearing that, like, I just don't get it. And yeah, you don't get it, but you talking ill of someone else isn't going to help the problem. So I was just frustrated today, and it's people like that it makes me angry and passionate to educate people like that and people who don't understand mental health, because they can be a key, they can be a help to the solution, or they can continue to be a part of the problem, which some would argue ignorance is the greatest form of, there's some quote about that, ignorance being the worst thing you can do, or no action is the worst action, something like that. Shout out Sweden, or whatever the neutral parties in the wars. I don't know. There's something about that, but I just had to get that out. So I appreciate you listening and being a part of mental health conversations. And this is a difficult one. So I hope if stuff like this continues to happen, or random stuff, I can I'm just going to keep speaking on it. I really don't care. I mean, if you're listening and you make it to this episode, you're on board. So thank you so much for being a part of what I'm trying to do. If you want to be on this episode, not this episode, I'm already publishing it. But if you want to be on an episode, let's talk about sports. Let's talk about music. Let's talk about depression and anxiety, whatever you want. If it's shallow, if it's deep, we're going to go swimming. We're going to have the floaties. We're going to have the lifeguards on deck. I'll take care of you. We're here to raise awareness and have fun and empower people. So I hope you have a great rest of your week. You're alive if you're listening to this right now, and I love you. So stick to it, and I'll see you next week. All right. Bye.